Alright, greetings my fellow freedom lovers, and thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Beehive State called Utah. And today's date is actually Sunday, July 17th, 2016. Yep, I'm still in Utah, Roy to be exact, Roy City, which is like a half hour north of Salt Lake City. Interesting town. I know I repeat myself a few times, but that's okay. Yeah, just a lot of interesting things are occurring, but I'm not going to go too fancy in a lot of areas. I know the one about the Baton Rouge shootings. Looks like more organized chaos, I would say, to shoot at the men in blue, which is very disturbing. Plus, it's like this whole us versus them mentality. It's a good form of psyops, psyops program. How I see it, to have us divided so we could all be ruled. So you always got to look at things a lot broader than what it is, how authentic, how accurate it is, and so forth. But I know I'm very critical with certain police officers and some of their actions. Doesn't mean I'm going to condemn them collectively. However, you have to look at everything as well. Federal funding, Homeland Security. Of course, you hear some of these dingleberries, whether it's Barack Obama or Al Sharpton wants to talk about, we got to federalize our police force. I say, no way in hell will I endorse that. Who's going to be the police chief of the United States? Homeland Security? That's one wet dream, my friends. That will make, it's like a micro solution to a mega problem. That's how I observe these areas, but it's very, distasteful, regardless of innocent lives. And we all know corruption happens everywhere too. Even within those particular institutions, it's nothing new whatsoever. But everyone can make a difference. We can revolt instead of blowing them up or anything like that, or using pure only violence. Only if it's a last resort when it comes to tyranny like that. But on the other hand, it could be resolved in other matters. Doesn't mean I'm finished here. Whoopie, have all the answers, okay? So I'll just make that very clear. But I'll be doing a few topics, and like I said, it won't be maybe long. I have no idea. I'll see how it goes. But I'm here, and just let us begin, shall we? All right. The first thing, it still got my attention because I know I talked about it last time about the 28 pages, and it was entitled here by antiwar.com by Christine Breitreiser. It's called here 29 pages reveal corruption, crime, and cover-up of 9/11. First and foremost, here is what you need to know when you listen to any member of our government state that the newly released 29 pages are no smoking gun. They are lying. Our government relationship to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is no different than addicts' relationship to heroin. Much like a heroin addict who will lie, cheat, and steal to feed their vice, certain members of our government will lie, cheat, and steal to continue their dysfunctional and deadly relationship with the KSA. A relationship that is rotting this nation and its leaders from the inside out. When CIA Director John Brennan states that he believes the 29 pages prove that the government of Saudi Arabia had no involvement in the 9/11 attacks, recognize that John Brennan is not a man living in reality. He's a delusional by design, feeding and protecting his Saudi advice. In other words, he's nothing more than an Uncle Tom, ethically speaking. That's just my words, okay? When Assistant Secretary of State of Near Eastern Affairs Ann W. Patterson testifies under oath, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is an ally that does everything that they can to help us fight against Islamic terrorism. Recognize their steep Saudi pandering serves and protects only her Saudi advice. What a wet dream. You can read the 29 pages and know the facts, and there's a link for it. PDF format. Don't let any person in government deny the damning reality of the 29 pages. As you read the 29 pages, remember they were written during 2002 and 2003. President Bush did not want the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia investigated. President Bush has deep ties to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its royal families, and only to protect the kingdom. President Bush wanted to go to war in Iraq, not Saudi Arabia. So 29 full pages that said Saudi and Bandar instead of Hussein in Iraq was a huge problem for President Bush. Of course, he's dumb as a rock. It is well documented that the joint inquiry received enormous pushback against its investigations into the Saudis. In fact, former FBI Director Mueller acknowledges that much of the information implicating the Saudis that inquiry investigators ultimately uncovered was unknown to him. Why does Mueller say this? Mostly because Mueller and other FBI officials had purposely tried to keep any incriminating information, specifically surrounding the Saudis, out of the inquiry's investigative hands. To repeat, there was concerted effort by the FBI and the Bush administration to keep incriminating Saudi evidence out of the inquiry's investigation. And for the exception of the 29 full pages, they succeeded in their effort, notwithstanding the lack of cooperation from the FBI and the pressure from the Bush administration to thwart any investigation of the Saudis. The joint inquiry was still able to write 29 full pages regarding Saudi complicity in the 9/11 attacks. No other nation is given such singular prominence in the joint inquiry's final report. Not Iraq, not Iran, not Syria, not Sudan, not even Afghanistan or Pakistan. Okay, all you neocons out there, and people that bow down, for the state of Israel, which I'm not condemning that country as a whole, explain that to me, please. The 29 pages have been kept secret and suppressed from the American public for 15 years, not for a matter of genuine national security, but for matters of convenience, embarrassment, and cover-up. Executive Order 13-526 makes that a crime. Neither James Clapper nor Barack Obama want to release a statement about that. Only thing that James Clapper and Barack Obama are willing to say about the delayed release of the 29 pages is they stand by the investigation of the 9/11 Commission. This punt by Barack Obama is repulsive. Barack Obama's deference to the 9/11 Commission, who himself admit that they were unable to fully investigate the Saudi role in the 9/11 attacks, depicts Obama's utter lack of interest, engagement, or support of the 9/11 families. Frankly, it re-victimizes the 9/11 families by not acknowledging the truth, blocking our path to justice, and the very vital assignment of accountability to those who should be held responsible. Most alarmingly, Obama's silence keeps us unsafe because instead of calling for an emergency session of Congress to immediately name the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a state sponsor of terrorism, President Obama continues to downplay, belittle, and ignore the truth, leaving us vulnerable to terrorist attacks that are still to this very day being funded by our ally, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Go figure, another teleprompting reading bend over Bob who claimed to be commander-in-chief. Hopefully all you Obama worshippers could comprehend that. To be clear, the 9/11 Commission did not fully investigate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Staff Director Philip Zelligo blocked any investigation into the Saudis. Zelligo even went so far as to fire an investigator who had been brought over from the joint inquiry to specifically follow up on the Saudi leads and information uncovered in the joint inquiry. I will repeat. The investigator was fired. In addition, Zelligo rewrote the 9/11 Commission's entire section regarding the Saudis and their connection to the 9/11 attacks. Former 9/11 Commissioners John Lehman, Bob Kerrey, and Tim Romer have all acknowledged the Saudis were not adequately investigated by the 9/11 Commission. Thus, for any government official to hang their hat on the 9/11 Commission's final report, when the commissioners themselves had admitted that the Saudis were not fully investigated, is absurd and disgraceful. For example, one clear piece of information was not mentioned in either 9/11 Commission or Joint Inquiry's 29 pages. The information regarding Fahad Thuramari and Khalid bin Astash found in both FBI report and CIA report. There are now declassified. Both reports indicate that Fahad Thuramari, a Saudi consular official, helped bring Khalid bin Astash into the United States in June of 2000 so he could meet with the two of the 9/11 hijackers, Khalid al-Midhar and Naraf al-Hazmi. Thuramari escorted bin Attash, a known al-Qaeda operative, through INS and customs at Los Angeles Airport, evading security at any possible alarm bells. Again, this information is found in both a CIA and FBI report. Look at that, huh? 4 months after Khalid bin Astash met with the two 9/11 hijackers in Los Angeles, the USS Cole was bombed and 17 U.S. sailors were killed. Khalid bin Astash, Khalid al-Midhar, and Naraf al-Hazmi were all named as co-conspirators in the bombing of the USS Cole. Whereas the information regarding bin Attash and Damari, has it ever been investigated? Had our intelligence agencies capitalized on the known connection between the Thuramari and bin Attash, they would have been able to throw out the bombing of the USS Cole. In addition, they would have access and the ability to weave together nearly all pieces of the 9/11 attacks more than 9 months before the 9/11 attacks happened. But as history shows, Saudi consulate official Fahad Thuramari was now investigating 17 sailors in addition, and 3,000 others were killed. I'm sure that Barack Obama, John Brennan, and Annie Patterson, and Philip Zelikow will all consider Thuramari's operational and financial support of Astash, Bahadar, and Hamazi as within threshold of being an ally of the United States. I and the rest of America would not. I know the summer is a busy time. I know that next week is the Republican convention. I know that Congress is out of session for 2 months, and I know that ISIS attacks continues in Nice, Orlando, San Bernardino, Belgium, Paris, and more. Just like I know that Donald Trump picked Mike Pence as his running mate. And here there was a coup in Turkey for an administration looking to dump some insanely incriminating evidence and having nobody take notice. Doing it yesterday when Congress was leaving for their 2-month summer recess was probably the best day anyone could have imagined. But the world is an unstable, crazy place. And while I used to think I was safe because my government was looking out for me and making decisions that were in my best interest, and that of the other citizens, I now know better. For 15 long years, I fought to get information regarding the killing of my husband from the U.S. government. I have fought, pleaded, and begged for the truth, transparency, justice, accountability, because my husband and 3,000 others were brutally slaughtered in broad daylight. And our government has done nothing but block, thwart, impede, and obstruct that path to truth, transparency, accountability, and justice. Even going so far as to gaslight us to this very day by denying the plain truth written on their plain paper of the 29 pages. Please read the 29 pages, look at the facts and evidence, and then watch the venom way various members of our government and media play spin master on those facts, telling you to deny the very harsh, sobering reality found within those 29 pages. I hope their gaslighting disgusts you as much as disgusts me. Note that these 29 pages merely detail the Saudi connection to the 9/11 attacks in San Diego. They briefly touch on the Phoenix information as well. For more notability, the 29 pages do not include information found more than 80,000 documents that are currently being reviewed by a federal judge in Florida. 80,000 documents that neither the 9/11 Commission, the Joint Inquiry, the Clinton, Bush, Obama White House, nor the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia want us to know about. More than anything, please know this Kingdom of Saudi Arabia provided operational and financial support to the 9/11 hijackers. That is a fact. And the U.S. government has been covering up for that fact for 15 years, even to this very day, and that is a crime. Corruption, greed, and vice, specifically as it pertains to protecting the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is not a one-party problem. It spans both Democratic and Republican administrations. Blame President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama, as well as all the officials and appointees. They are all to blame for failing to prevent the 9/11 attacks, helping to facilitate the 9/11 attacks through their own abject negligence, using the 9/11 attacks to further ill-begotten gains and goals, and covering up the 9/11 attacks by not coming clean with the American public for 15 years. It originally was printed in Huffington Post. Widows Monica Gabriel, Mindy Kleinberg, Lori Veloken, and Patty Kazaza, Kazaza all signed their names to this article, and is reprinted with permission, with the author's permission. So, wow. And I have to say, like a lot of you heard my show enough times about the Saudis. Like I said before, they are just part of the network. Okay? I always say that one world order is responsible for this horrific event where 3,000 innocent people passed. And it's completely unacceptable, and everything else before and after. Imperialism and all that good stuff. Pathetic stuff, excuse me. And I'm like, browsing through here. I might have to actually read it in its entirety. But a lot of us have talked about the Saudi connection, the one world order, and all that. I'm not going to say I know everything, and I perfectly admit it. But the truth of the matter is, there's a big dent on the cover-up. And the truth is another close to make it a official reality. It doesn't mean we should just sit here and celebrate, oh, it was only the Saudis. It's a lot bigger than what it is. And based on this, based on what I'm reading, they say it was a conspiracy theory. It's now a fact, conspiratorial fact, based on these documents that the United States and Saudi Arabia are involved in this horrific event. And those presidents and anyone else in the administration have this knowledge, should be indicted for treason. Plain and simple. I think the people out in the streets, they should go to these conventions in Cleveland and Philadelphia, and anyone that's speaking and they know about this, start calling these scumbags out. That's how I look at it. Filthy, disgusting pigs that they are. And that's an insult to that particular creature. And this is why I see a hot potato game here, because I know I talked about this. And then I got to thank Luke Rodowski from Real Change. I seen his video too on it, which is really good. Just look it up. Just look up Real Change on the whole 9/11 cover-up. Very good. When he said that 9/11 was an inside job based on these 28, 29 pages. Many others are talking about it too. So I think people should really call these, if your congressman is going for this, go to these town meetings, you should bring this up to their attention and ask them, will you support the impeachment or the indictment of President Obama, President Clinton, President Bush, and anyone else that was involved? We can get a big list going. I think this has to really need to be done, because I'm like looking through this right now and I'm like, wow, a lot more than I know. Okay, and more specifications, more detail. and a few areas have been blanked out. But yep, that's what the one world order wants. But now they got a major black eye, and we got to keep going to what, keep pushing and pushing and pushing. To all those folks out there who are truthers worldwide, we got to keep the ball going, become a more of aggressive bulldozer, and get these tyrants off to a cliff. And I say that symbolically, okay? Definitely, folks, read this. And all this will be on my footnotes too, on my page, on my Spreaker page, and iHeartRadio too. So definitely look at this and share this to everyone you know, because it is very vital. Not just for us, for our generation, children and generations yet to come. Speaking of civilized world here, the economic collapse blog.com, this is by Mike Snyder. Baton Rouge, Nice, Dallas, Orlando, a dark and distressing time has descended upon the civilized world. A little commentary here. It says here, does it seem as though events are starting to accelerate significantly since I warned that something had shifted and that thing had suddenly become more serious? We have seen the worst mass shooting in U.S. history in Orlando. Well, don't forget Wounded Knee there, my brother. We have seen the massacre of five police officers in Dallas. We have seen a horrifying terror rampage in Nice. Now, we've seen the brutal murder of three police officers in Baton Rouge. On Sunday morning, the peace and quiet in Baton Rouge were shattered when dozens of shots erupted less than 1 mile from police headquarters. By the end of it, 29-year-old Gavin Eugene Long has killed 3 officers and seriously wounded 3 others. It's a crime fueled by pure hatred, and specifically waited for his 29th birthday to launch the attack. The shooter, there's a lot of links on here too, so you check it out. The shooter who killed 3 law enforcement officers and wounded 3 others in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Sunday was a Missouri man who launched a deadly rampage on his 20th birthday, police sources said. Gavin Long was born on July 17, 1987, was a man who gunned down officers before he was killed in gun battle with other officers responding to the shooting. 2 Baton Rouge police officers aged 41 and 49 died, said Police Chief Carl DeBatty. The gunman also killed a 45-year-old sheriff's deputy and critically wounded a 41-year-old deputy who was fighting for his life, said East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Sid Gautrux. So, what motivated Long to commit this horrible crime? Here's what the Daily Caller found. YouTube account operated Gavin Eugene Long and discovered by the Daily Caller reveals key insight into what might have motivated the 29-year-old black man who killed 3 Baton Rouge police officers Sunday morning. Videos on Long's account show that he was a former Nation of Islam member. He also ran against crackers and made references to Alton Sterling, the black man killed by police in Baton Rouge on July 5th. Did Long actually believe that gunning down innocent police officers would honor the memory of Alton Sterling? Sadly, it appears that there are a lot of other people out there that feel the exact same way that Long did. In fact, there were a number of people that were openly celebrating the shooting of police officers in Baton Rouge on Twitter and calling more cops to be killed. This country is starting to come apart at the seams, and from now on, it's going to be heavier. It's going to be very, very dangerous to be a police officer in America. Perhaps you might not have heard this yet, but there was actually another plot to kill police officers in Baton Rouge that was foiled ahead of time. Police in Baton Rouge were on high alert earlier this week after a gang, including boys aged 12 and 13, were arrested as they tried to steal handguns as part of a substantial credible threat to harm police officers in Baton Rouge. Authorities discovered the alleged plot while responding to a burglary at the pawn shop early on June 9th. They arrested one suspect, Antonio Thomas, 17, at the scene with a handgun and a BB gun. During questioning, Thomas said that he and other three suspects stole the firearms and were going to get bullets to shoot police, authorities say. And another police officer was shot on Sunday in Milwaukee while he was just sitting in his squad car. Milwaukee police officer was shot in a vicious attack early Sunday as he sat in a squad car while colleagues investigated a domestic disturbance call, an official said. The suspected shooter, identified by police as a 20-year-old West Allis man with 2 felonies on his records, was found dead in a nearby yard, they said. The incident began as a response to a domestic disturbance call near South 17th Street and West Morgan Avenue and about 2 a.m. During the investigation, someone fired shots into the squad car, striking an officer multiple times, Assistant Police Chief William Jessup said in a morning press conference. Can you imagine the stress that many police officers and their families are feeling these days? Could you imagine leaving home each day realizing that there is a huge target painted on your chest and you might not make it home that night to see your family? I'm sure that a lot of law enforcement officers are having some very serious family discussions these days, and I'm sure that a lot of them are actually considering leaving the law enforcement altogether. All it takes is a single bullet to change your life forever. And right now, there are too many people there that want to harm anyone in a police uniform. I think that a recent piece by Scott G. Erickson put it very succinctly. What feelings must resonate with a patrolman who is responding to a domestic violence call, violence or simple larceny? I am the next target. Is this really a routine call for service, or is it an ambush? No longer can patrolmen simply worry about reported crime itself, but rather he or she must approach these events as though they are potentially walking into the next Dallas or Baton Rouge, and that is no way to function as a police officer. The stress, the strain, and uncertainty would be unbearable. And it just isn't just police officers that need to be concerned about the rising violence. The Republican National Convention is next week. It could be a big fat juicy target for Islamic terrorists, police haters, and anyone else that is out to make some sort of huge statement. There are going to be thousands of people protecting the convention, but there are still concerns that something unexpected may happen. The Sunday celebration butts uncomfortably against a massive security operation that shows the other side of Cleveland's big moment. Seasoned U.S. officials are preparing for the worst, aware that tensions over race relations and police use of force, as well as reaction to Trump's polarizing campaign, could result in violence on the streets. Clevelanders are also aware of the backdrop for their convention: the mass shooting in Orlando that killed 50 people in June, the sniper attack that killed 5 Dallas police this month, and the truck assault that killed 84 this week in Nice. Let us hope and pray for safety in Cleveland, and let us hope and pray that the tensions ease in major cities all over the nation. A dark and distressing time has descended upon the civilized world, and virtually everywhere you look, anger and frustration are rising to very dangerous levels. We have warned this might be the summer of chaos, and so far that has definitely been the case. Let us hope that things start to cool off before the events to spiral completely out of control. And Mr. Snyder is correct on that. I always enjoy reading his articles and sharing information from his work. You know, some people talk ill about him. Oh, well, he's a Christian, he's a Bible thumper, and he wants to sell his books. I go, look, it's never about him. It's the information, the observations. And what's really disturbing about this, because some people, we say we've seen organized chaos too on this. How many of these people are actually organic? How many of them are mind controlled? You never know. And it was really disturbing because even during the times, after 9/11, more friction of police state, of a tyrannical state within this nation and even the world. Look what the FTAA rally on the whole free trade of Americas that happened in Miami. A lot of good people got their heads knocked in, got shot at. They went in there unarmed, but police officers and so forth from around the state came down, and not all of them, but many of them are when we're gung ho. I saw videos of this too, and it's very disgusting. And $8 billion of that went to that protest. And I'm saying elderly people too got ridiculed, got their hands tied with the plastic with those tie straps, and they got soiled, and a lot of them were under the highways of I-95, and they were stolen in their pants. Now look what's happening. It's told us say the state, the one world order, these tyrannical scumbags, pieces of garbage that they are, they want us at each other's throats. That we're the enemy. Doesn't matter if you're a police officer or an individual or not. They want us clashing at each other. Everyone out there needs to start to wake up. Doesn't matter if you're a police officer or not. You have to look at the bigger picture. Yes, I have my bows to certain officers. Actually, they picked me, but it's all on principle. I don't go personal. I don't have to. I don't go on a personal level. I go on principle. But this is going too much out of hand. And remember, our fellow police officers are human beings too. But there's too many people who want to collectively attack them. I'm not saying be vigilant. If you get pulled over, they ask you questions, you don't have to say a damn thing to them. But you got these crackpots too, that so-called rebels. They want to stir up crap and stir up garbage. You know what? You ask them who's funding you. We're just hoping. It's insane. Just make sure both these conventions, whether in Philadelphia and Cleveland, it will simmer down. Stand up to your principles. Do what's right. Nothing wrong. Like I said, nothing wrong with that. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes, if that like violence would be a last resort, hopefully it's not the case. But so be it. It occurred with the Battle of Athens, Tennessee, August 1st and 2nd of 1946, and the Stonewall Uprising that happened in New York City. They fought against the law, which was because of corruption and tyranny. But the whole thing is this: they're going after innocent people, and that's completely unacceptable. And people got to really start thinking before they do take action. If you go to these rallies and try to go hating cops, killing people and all that, and kill a white man, kill a black man, you know what? I know one thing: you're just a hired fool. And anyone else that jump on there, you've just been diagnosed with the Jim Jones syndrome. You have to look at things more methodically. I have. And I got out of a lot of jams myself. And I do digress, and I do apologize. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. This is kind of a short one here. It's from Anti-War again. It came out today. It says here, Israeli Attorney General effort to legalize settlements unconstitutional. It says here, Israeli Attorney General Alavachi Mendelblit today warned that a bill which aims retroactively legalize the illegal West Bank settler outpost in Amona was blatantly unconstitutional, but closing the door on Israel's far-right government continuing to spur a court order to demolish it. Amona was illegally built on a privately owned Palestinian land in 1995. The Israeli High Court ruled it illegal in 2006. After the years of spurning court orders, do something about it. The High Court finally gave the government under the December of 2016 to demolish the site and return it to its legal owner. The far-right government is tried to come up with a sort of settlement for the evacuation, offering to relocate the settlers to the nearby settlement of Afra. They refuse and reiterate their refusal today, insisting they believe the government will eventually realize the voters put them in power to legalize such construction. Mendelbligt's warning that the legalization effort would never survive in court because it came after his Justice Ministry had already punted on debating the bill until next week, though, well, whenever it will see the light today remains uncertain. Amona settlers argue that the government subsidized their construction of the illegal outposts in the first place, and that they took that as a promise that the settlement, like so many others, would be radioactively legalized. Well, well, well. That's a little interesting thing there on the unconstitutionality of that whole bill. That's from the Jerusalem Post. There's a link for that. So, and you can really check it out yourselves, my friends. Yeah. So, I think we're right there. Yep. Oh, yep. It is a fact. Interesting. So just hit that link in Jerusalem Post. You can read it yourself. And very interesting little topic. So, woo, and that is really it, my friends. Yeah, it's been like a little bit, just a little bit quiet, low key. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the show. Plus, feel free to download and share this, including all my other archives, throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, whether it's good or bad, or you got any information that I could find interesting, please send it to me. Whatever you do, send all your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Tumblr, Freedom's Network, and Scene.life. I think I have 8 of them on there. I hope I got all that there, okay? Sometimes I forget, then forgive me on that. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, it's number 3, it's all together, at gmail.com. So, like I said, it's just hope for the best for those people in Cleveland, Philadelphia. The conventions are coming up. Plus, keeping your thoughts to the officers, the slain officers, and the ones that are injured, and to all the innocent people that are out there that are suffering uncalled for and unacceptable. All right? Okay, my friends, that's all for now, and thank you again for listening. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.